At the boundary where civilization meets the wild, feral hogs are more than just a threat. They are the silent invaders of America's grasslands, hills, and forests. Fields torn apart, farms ravaged, and even lives endangered by their rampage. We can't stand idly by. Once again, we set out to confront this rebellious force of nature. In today's journey, will we maintain the upper hand? Will these monstrous beasts yield? Join us to find the answers. Kicking off today's hunt, we venture into the boundless grasslands, a haven where feral hogs lurk, waiting for their chance to wreak havoc. After meticulously checking our firearms, communication gear, and releasing the hunting dogs, our group swiftly sets off. From a distance, through my binoculars, I spot a feral hog charging across the grassland, kicking up clouds of dry grass with each heavy step. Without hesitation, I set up an ambush, steady my position, and raise my rifle. Aiming straight at its vulnerable spot, I pull the trigger. The bullet slices through the air, striking true. The hog tumbles a few times before collapsing in the field, silenced before it could even squeal. Suddenly, a rustling of leaves from nearby bushes signals danger. I instantly raise my rifle, eyes locked on every movement, tense with anticipation. In a split second, a massive shadow bursts out, charging across the grass like a living arrow. I swiftly track the target and fire decisively. The bullet tears through the air, striking the beast's flank. It staggers, loses momentum, and rolls across the ground before lying still, motionless. Leaving the grasslands behind after those thrilling takedowns, we press on, advancing toward the rugged hills where steep cliffs and treacherous terrain await. Here, feral hogs often lurk deep within dense thickets or hidden crevices out of sight. After checking our gear, securing straps, and readying our firearms, the team begins to move, slowly, deliberately, but with unwavering resolve. From a high, rocky outcrop, I scan the sprawling hills below. Suddenly, a dark shape darts through sparse trees, racing down the slope like a bolt of lightning. Without hesitation, I shoulder my rifle, lock the crosshairs on the beast's every move, and squeeze the trigger. The bullet whistles through the air, striking its target dead on. The feral hog stumbles, then tumbles down the hillside, completely subdued. On the opposite hillside, my teammate is locked in a tense confrontation. A frenzied herd of feral hogs is scattering chaotically across the rugged terrain. Unfazed, he raises his rifle, steadies his stance, and locks onto his target. A single shot rings out, sharp and commanding. The lead hog drops instantly, sliding down a rocky slope before coming to a lifeless halt. Suddenly, the barking of dogs echoes from the nearby hillside, signaling another prey's presence. I immediately move closer, cautiously scanning for tracks. Out of nowhere, a monstrous beast charges straight toward me, barreling like a swirling black whirlwind. Without a moment's hesitation, I hold my breath, raise my rifle, and pull the trigger. The deafening crack of the shot shatters the tense air. The bullet strikes the beast's head, and it collapses at my feet, motionless. The day's hunt concludes with precise ambushes and seamless teamwork among the hunters. The entire pursuit strictly adhered to legal regulations, and ensured ecological safety in the permitted area. Wild boars, creatures once thought to lurk only in deep forests, have become a true nightmare for rural communities. They rampage through fields, destroying crops, attacking livestock, and even targeting humans. Faced with this growing threat, farmers and hunters are forced to take action to protect their livelihoods. How have they confronted these ferocious beasts? Join us on a thrilling and suspenseful journey to hunt wild boars in today's video. Join us at the snowy hills of Montana, USA, in the depths of winter, where wild boars relentlessly churn the frozen ground, wreaking havoc on ecosystems and crops. We've come fully equipped with firearms, cold weather gear, thermal binoculars, and all necessary tools. The hunt in the frigid wilderness officially begins. Tracking footprints etched in the thick snow for an hour, we suddenly heard a strange noise ahead. All of a sudden, a dark shadow shot out from the bushes like an arrow slicing through the air. Immediately, I raised my rifle, locked onto the target, and pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out clean and decisive. The beast collapsed, tumbling a few times on the snowy ground before lying still. It seems my gunshot startled the other prey nearby. From a distance, another wild boar emerged. Swiftly pulling the trigger, the bullet struck its head, leaving the beast no chance to escape. The winter battlefield ended with victory for the steely hunters. Now, join me for another hunting adventure in the scorching summer of the American South, where the blistering heat drives wild boars to gather around fields and water sources. Firearms, binoculars, and tracking gear are ready. A new battleground, a new hunt begins now. Trekking along the hillside at dawn, we swiftly set out to hunt the ferocious beasts in the area. Suddenly, a rustling sound nearby signaled something approaching. A dark shadow burst from the thicket. I immediately drew my rifle, aiming straight at the target. The gunshot rang out decisively. The beast collapsed instantly, completely subdued by the hunter's barrel. The hunting dogs were unleashed, swiftly picking up the scent and driving the prey toward us. Moments later, from the edge of the hill, a massive beast suddenly charged forward. Unfazed, I raised my rifle, locking onto the target. The gunshot echoed through the still air, and in an instant the beast collapsed onto the parched ground, unable to resist. A few minutes later, another wild boar was struggling to climb up the rocky cliff. I raised my rifle, squinted to align the shot, and pulled the trigger without hesitation. The bullet whistled through the air, striking the target dead on. The beast lurched violently, then staggered, sliding down the hillside. Not far away, a teammate of mine was swiftly shouldering his rifle, eyes locked on a target sprinting wildly across the hills. The prey tried to accelerate, but mere seconds later, a sharp crack echoed. All movement ceased. IT collapsed without time to react. Today's journey concludes with breathless pursuits through untamed wilderness, where neither the harsh winter nor the blazing summer could halt the hunter's steps. All actions were carried out in strict accordance with legal regulations in designated hunting areas in the USA. From the depths of the forest to the doorstep of homes, giant wild boars are becoming increasingly aggressive and audacious. They swarm into residential areas, ravaging crops, attacking livestock, and even threatening human lives. Facing this lurking danger, seasoned hunters are always ready to venture into perilous territory to restore peace to the countryside. But this is no easy hunt. Wild boars are not only powerful, but also cunning beyond expectation. This time, who will fall? Follow the heart-pounding pursuit in our video today, where every step could be a fight for survival. First, join us in the snow-covered hills of the American West, a place of harsh weather, treacherous terrain, and massive, ferocious wild boars lurking beneath thick layers of snow. Today's hunt has been meticulously prepared. Rifles, thermal binoculars, flashlights, cold-resistant clothing, and enough supplies for hours of enduring the bone-chilling cold. After about 20 minutes of trekking across the mountainside, we suddenly encountered a herd of wild boars darting through the barren trees. I swiftly raised my rifle, locking my sights on one of the boars. The shot hit its mark, and the target collapsed to the ground. Seizing the moment, I quickly fired again. The second bullet flew true, striking another boar in the side, dropping it instantly lifeless and unable to fight back. At the same moment, on the adjacent hillside, my teammate was tracking a boar struggling through the thick snow. A sharp crack echoed as the shot hit its mark, sending the boar tumbling down the slope. The air fell eerily silent. Victory on the snowy hills belonged to the skilled hunter. Leaving the snow-covered mountains behind, join us on a journey to the southern United States, the dense oak forests of Texas, where wild boars gather in herds notorious for their ferocity and unpredictability. Before entering the forest, we double-check our gear. Hunting rifles, binoculars, daggers, walkie-talkies, and backup camping equipment. Everything is ready. A new terrain, a new challenge, and the hunt begins anew. Venturing into the dry Texas forest, we suddenly spotted a wild boar charging through a cluster of decayed trees. I raised my rifle and fired, but the first shot only grazed it. Not letting the chance slip, I swiftly repositioned, cutting off the boar's path. The second shot rang out, striking true into its flank. The beast collapsed, completely subdued. Continuing to track other prey, I quickly noticed a lone boar ahead. I raised my rifle, squeezed the trigger, and the bullet flew, hitting the target dead on. The boar crashed to the ground, utterly drained of strength to resist. From a clearing in the distance, I spotted another wild boar foraging for food. I instantly raised my rifle, and the bullet shot out with blazing speed, embedding itself into the beast's body. It leaped off the ground, tumbled a few times, then collapsed amid the dry leaves, silence before it could make a sound. Another target taken down. Not stopping there, after After moving for about 10 minutes, amid the golden grass, a dark shadow silently emerged from the edge of the forest, seemingly scouting for food. I quietly raised my rifle, adjusted my aim, and fired. The sharp crack of the shot echoed as the bullet tore through the air, striking the beast's head. It froze, then collapsed onto the bed of decayed leaves. The hunt concluded, and once again, victory did not belong to the wild. The pursuit of these formidable creatures ended with precise, thrilling shots. Seasoned hunters showcased their prowess against the stubborn evasion of the boar herd. The entire expedition strictly adhered to legal hunting regulations in permitted areas.
Kayo.
Wild boars, creatures once thought to lurk only in deep forests, have now invaded the plains, causing unimaginable damage. They not only destroy crops, but also leave villagers living in fear as night falls. Faced with this crisis, what will farmers and hunters do to reclaim peace? Join us in a heart-pounding pursuit where the line between man and beast is drawn by a single gunshot. First, join us as we step into the chilly night of rural America, where giant wild boars exploit the cover of darkness to ravage fields and livestock pens. Guns, thermal binoculars, infrared lights. Everything has been meticulously prepared for a heart-pounding hunt under the moonlight. We drove for about an hour to reach the hunting area. The silence was eerie and unsettling. From a distance, a herd of beasts was quietly tearing through a cornfield. I quickly raised my rifle, locked onto the target, and pulled the trigger. The gunshot shattered the night's silence. One boar was hit and collapsed to the ground. The rest scattered in panic, fleeing in all directions. Not missing the opportunity, we decided to track down the surviving boars. A target was spotted. Swiftly raising my rifle, I pulled the trigger. The sharp crack of the bullet echoed through the silent night. One beast collapsed, motionless on the cold grass. The night hunt concluded with victory for the season hunters. After a tense night, the first light of dawn dispelled the darkness. Seizing the moment, we swiftly moved up the mountain for a daytime hunt, where the prey roams actively under the radiant sunlight. Join us as we continue this thrilling pursuit of the beasts. Silently weaving through dense bushes, a dark shadow suddenly darted out in front of me. Reacting in a split second, I raised my rifle and fired. The blast echoed through the mountains and forest. The beast struck squarely in its midsection. It collapsed onto the dry ground, thrashing briefly before gradually losing its ability to resist. The gunshot shattered the silence, sending the surrounding wild boars into chaos. The frantic barking of hunting dogs signaled the presence of other prey. As expected, a group of wild boars was hiding, hoping to evade my rifle. Without hesitation, I swiftly raised my gun and locked on the target. A clean shot rang out, and the lead boar was hit, collapsing in the middle of the forest without making a sound. As we descended the mountain, we encountered stray boars from the herd busily foraging. Aiming from a distance, I fired a single shot at the target. It collapsed and lay still instantly. The remaining boar fled in panic, leaving behind an eerily silent scene. The daytime hunt concluded with the giant beast herd as they defeated. Today's journey of night and day hunting has come to a close. From the silent darkness to the radiant daylight, each moment brought its own challenges. But with seamless coordination and precise shots, we emerged victorious. Everything was conducted in legal areas and in compliance with regulations.